welcome to the streaming measurement panel. It's always going to be a good panel when we have Laura sitting front and center. Our plan today is to unpack how easy or complex it is. We've got one panelist who we're waiting for. He'll be here any moment. We're going to unpack how easy or hard it is today to understand the unduplicated reach of a campaign across linear and streaming. So we're going to get deep into the weeds, but also excite you all by the opportunity. So let's start with Dave. Dave, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is really fucking hard and 10 is no problem at all, how easy or hard is it to plan and buy a campaign and to understand the unduplicated reach across linear and streaming?
All right, John. I will do a quick intro. I'm Dave Pauk. I'm the head of Canadian sales for Samsung Ads. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the easiest, I may get some different opinions here, but I'm going to say a 9. And the reason I say that is because, there's capabilities out in the market now, particularly programmatically, where you can understand your linear campaign activity and blend that in and complement it with your AVOD and streaming activations across connected TV, across mobile, across desktop, and that really pulls it all together. And just, our Samsung DSP takes advantage of our first-party ACR data, which pulls in that glass-level linear ad exposure, and then gives you the opportunity to activate across all supply that's available in the marketplace. So I say it's actually relatively easy based on what we can do today.
And just to check, is that if I buy the campaign through you?
That's activating through Samsung DSP, but it can be through either managed service or self-serve.
I suspect we may come back to that.
Of course.
Francesco, on a scale of 1 to 10, how easy or hard is it to plan and buy a campaign across linear and streaming and to understand the unduplicated reach of that campaign? And just briefly, tell us who you are and what you do and why you know something about this.
Sure. Hi. Is this on?
Check. No, it's not on. Hello? Hello, we've got a mic not on.
Change to evolve and all that sort of stuff. And she went,
Hello?
fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. Let me just close this door. Hang on.
Try, use Dave.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Yes, hi. I'm Francesco. I'm the media manager and digital platform manager at Campbell's.
Say exactly what she did, because that's like, it's sort of like she's had enough, right?
Hearing
and it was
someone
just a great sort of pitch to the industry. And
Hello?
she was going to do that here, but she couldn't. And then the guy that
Let's swap mics. Tell you what.
Hello.
chatted to about a month ago.
I'm going to get you new mics.
Okay.
That one's a new one.
There you go.
Testing. No, that's not on.
Oh, it's okay. He should be turning it on. Just keep talking into it.
Testing. Right. Testing. Okay, we're good.
Okay, wonderful.
Take 2.
Hello. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay, great. I'm Francesco. I'm the manager at Campbell's. How easy or difficult is it to plan traditional and CTV? I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 2. There really is no way of an advertiser or a marketer knowing what is my unduplicated reach, who are you reaching, where are you extending your audience. So I would say it's very difficult at the moment.
And just briefly, do you understand why Dave gave it a 9?
I would understand why Dave gave it a 9. I mean, Samsung has great products. They have their own data that they can purchase against, but it's a self-contained ecosystem. So when you're investing as a client, it's really hard to understand why would I choose Samsung over Amazon or any other CTV vendor in the market.
Yes. So hi, my name is Ophélie. I'm the head of the publisher partnerships and operations at Magnite in Canada. So very quickly, Magnite is the largest sell-side advertising company in the world. We empower publishers and broadcasters with a set of technologies such as an ad server and SSP. So to answer your question, John, I would probably rate that around like 4 or 5 out of 10. Magnite being a global company, we see what's happening in the rest of the world. And I think there's room for improvement in Canada, but the good news is that it's everywhere the same thing. And I'm very excited to have that conversation with you all today.
And super briefly, why did you give it that score?
So I actually believe in ACR data, and I'm sure Dave's going to talk about it today. It's very powerful to have that vision from linear and streaming. But to Francesco's point, I think that we can have some room for improvement for like transparent and global measurement capabilities, and potentially have more options and commonalities on the market on that front.
Okay, let's jump on. Julie?
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie. I lead the media and entertainment publisher partnerships at Google in Canada. And I would say that the major broadcasters are our primary partners in that vertical. Our Google technology is designed to enable the monetization of their connected television endpoints. And I would say, before I answer the question, you know, we're really excited. We've seen such a massive influx of streaming services come into the market over the last couple of years. It's kept us certainly all quite busy supporting the broadcasters to make sure that they are able to monetize and activate against those endpoints alongside the rest of their digital inventory, which is no easy task. So I think, you know, to answer your question, is it easy to plan and buy? I don't think it's easy. I think it's quite complex. I think there's things you can do to make it easier. I might give it a 5, similar to Ophélie. But I would give you, you know, just an anecdote from the sell side. I mean, if you think about it, all of these services coming in so quickly over the last couple of years, we've been so focused on, you know, from a technology standpoint, being able to monetize and activate these services across all the various endpoints that consumers are engaging with them. And, you know, that is happening all in parallel to what the buy-side demand is across Canada. So it's not easy at all.
And so what's your score?
Pardon me?
What score would you give it?
5.
5, okay. Lindsey.
Is this working? Okay. Morning, everyone. I'm Lindsey Talbot, Chief Investment Officer at GroupM here in Canada. I would give it a 3. And the reason is it's our job as the agency on behalf of our clients to plan and execute the best mix, whether it's linear TV, streaming, or online digital. And for us to try to understand what the right mix is, what the right investment level is, so that we're, you know, we can truly see what an unduplicated reach is. And there was a lot of discussion about that on this morning's breakfast panel. And it's really, you know, that's what our job is to guide our clients and to recommend the best investment. And we're dealing with completely different data sets. So it's not easy. It's incredibly difficult. And we just want to make sure that what we're recommending and what we're executing is truly working for our clients.
And just briefly, Lindsey, we've got a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5, and an outlier, I might say, a 9. Do you understand why Dave says it's a walk in the park, super easy, no problem, 9 out of 10?
I do understand why Dave says it's a walk in the park. And yes, look, there are many managed services and partners who are very willing to help and guide and, you know, not to discount that. But you have to understand, we have to balance the full ecosystem, and we're not just talking about one supplier or 2 suppliers. It's the full connected TV ecosystem, balanced with the linear TV ecosystem, balanced with what we're purchasing for our clients in online videos. So that's why it's so challenging for us. But I understand from your standpoint, you're there to help and you're there to provide a service. It's just a smaller piece of the overall.
And I should ask the same question to Dave. Do you understand what everyone else has given it?
Absolutely. And if I may, I think that, you know, from my perspective, what I'm seeing is we're very bullish on you know, the capabilities that exist in the marketplace. And I understand that you're pulling in different sources of data, different types of activations. The perspective that I have is when you have a platform like Samsung DSP, where you can activate across all sources of inventory. It's no different than a DV360 or a Trade Desk. It allows you to take your linear ad exposure and apply that against whatever you want. And I think that's really, you know, for us, you know, the reason that we feel like it's not a walk in the park, don't get me wrong. Sure. But we definitely think that it's become a lot easier over the last, you know, couple of years versus what it looked like, you know, before over the last 3 or 4 years.
So Dave, let's stick with you. Give us some CTV numbers. So what proportion of Canadian households are regularly using their connected televisions to watch streaming video?
I haven't seen a definitive, number, but from the sources that I've seen, it ranges between 60 to 70% of households in Canada.
And the biggest connected TV platforms are Samsung?
Samsung is certainly one of the biggest. We have 5.5 million active Samsung TVs that we capture our ACR data from. It represents almost half of all of those smart TV households. I think that when we look at the entire landscape holistically, that there's opportunities there for, looking at different sources of data, looking at the viewership and how those audiences are transitioning from linear to streaming. And that's where the whole impetus of targeting and measuring incremental reach, is really effective when you can understand at the glass level of a TV, what people are watching, what source they're watching it from, whether it's linear or AVOD or SVOD or even gaming, and really being able to understand and activate on that data.
And Ophélie, in terms of the streaming services that are being watched, who are the biggest? It's YouTube and...
Yeah, so I would say obviously the OEMs have a big part in Canada, as well as the VMPDs, the broadcasters. We talked earlier about the importance of the local broadcasting services as well. Maybe to complement what Dave said, we're also seeing that at Magnite, we conducted a research earlier this year. And we've seen that majority of the Canadian households are actually now watching streaming TV, 75% of that. And it's more than paid traditional TV, which is about 50%, or broadcast, which is about 30%. And more importantly with this, we've also seen that 2/3 of the Canadians' households now are watching AVOD, so advertising streaming services, and that is going into more and more.
So all of this is saying this is a huge and growing part of the market, but the buyers have some concerns about how easy it is to plan and buy consistently across all of the different platforms. Let's jump down. Lindsey, give us a sense of the current state of streaming measurement. I mean, when you're helping your clients buy CTV inventory, talk us through the data sets you're currently using, especially when you're buying from more than one platform or DSP.
I mean, I think we have to take a step back and remember that each medium on the plan plays a different role. So linear TV is not meant to play the same role as connected TV, and online video also plays a different role. So we have obviously all the data measurement sets available to us, but we've also had to create, and it's one of the benefits of being part of a global agency, is we've had to create our own proprietary tools to try to come up with the best measurement sets that tells us, to the best of our ability, we know it's not perfect, but this amount of linear layered on with this amount of connected TV and this amount of online video is the right mix. And most importantly, making sure, because a lot of inventory, and I'll use YouTube as one example, but it's not the only example, where if we're heavily investing in online video through YouTube, then the same inventory that is also considered connected TV might not be providing that unduplicated reach that our clients so badly want.
And from what you've seen, are you confident that declining linear reach and viewing is being directly compensated for by streaming? In other words, are we just seeing viewers move from linear straight to streaming? So we have to sort out planning and buying in a more consistent way.
No, I don't think we can confidently say that a lost point in linear TV, a lost point in reach, is then directly made up in connected TV. And again, they don't play the same role across our media plans and across our client KPIs. So no, I don't think it would be accurate to say that, $1 out of linear is $1 back into connected TV, and they're providing the same reach, which is why we're trying to really look at full campaign reach frequency, and most importantly, what that unduplicated reach is across the platforms.
Okay, so Francesco, when you are helping your brand managers across the business to plan and buy streaming, Give us your sense of the state of measurement. You know, what are you transacting against? What do you trust? What do you rely on?
We're often looking at reach and frequency.
Is that mic on?
Hello? Musical mics. Okay. Usually we're looking at reach and frequency, and often we're reliant on vendor level data. So we really don't have a view of, does one vendor help extend reach of another CTV?
Do you feel confident, though, that we're on a trajectory which is going to deal with that problem? Do you see positive and encouraging signs that this problem is getting fixed, that it's going to be more easy to join up the solutions available?
I think it's a long-term solution that I truthfully don't know what the timeline is for. We have a project underway with our cross-media measurement committee as part of the ACA, where we're trying to have vendors provide data so that we can measure unduplicated reach against campaigns in market, so that we can optimize campaigns, not inundate users with obscene amounts of frequency, which you sometimes get on vendor websites where you see a frequency of 20 per day at times. So really it's about improving the experience, and I mean, it's underway. I don't know if there's a motivation for vendors to get on board or not, to be honest.
Okay. Julie, and then Ophélie?
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe take a step back for a second and talk about the foundations of measurement. So in digital measurement, the foundations require an identifier, right? And with this influx of streaming services, you got to remember that there is work and a lift required in ensuring that an identifier is being passed across all of these various streaming endpoints, right? And that's before we even get into how do we join that to what's happening on the linear side of things. So we're working with publishers extensively to ensure that they are passing an ID, a first-party ID that will enable measurement, whether that's, a publisher-provided ID or a device ID. This is a massive concerted effort that is happening, in a race to ensure that we can sort of join up this measurement. You think about viewability, which is like a sort of table stakes measurement KPI in digital. I mean, third-party viewability in connected television up until last year wasn't even easily accomplished, right? Until the IAB rolled out their OMSDK, that was, still a very one-to-one by vendor measurement solution. And so, just ensuring that our publisher partners have that coverage of first-party data is a big-time undertaking, and it's going to put us in a sort of path to better measurement. I think the other thing that we see in the market with, our broadcast partners, all the work they're doing with respect to addressable TV, that's going to be another step in the right direction to understand, across publisher properties, what is that unified, deduplicated view of, Julie?
Because to Lindsey's point, all of that is fantastically positive, isn't it? But it's a very different measurement paradigm to the measurement solutions that are being used to transact against traditional linear, right? And that is where that's where your problems arise. I'm guessing you have teams transacting in quite different ways who are each able to do incredibly positive, valuable things to help your clients find audiences, but it's trying to join the things up, which is the tricky bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's far before we get to the execution phase. It's that planning stage, and again, we're as excited as you are as there's more data and more measurement opportunities, but it's really being able to confidently link those together and know what we're doing for our clients is the right mix. And if it's not, having that data to tell us this isn't working, we need to optimize, we need to change the mix, and being able to do that in real time versus trying to sort of cobble it together and find solutions or work off of results that we're getting, months after the campaign.
So, Dave, you've heard the sort of issues. That's a pretty solid diagnosis. What do you think the CTV OEMs can do to help solve the problems you've heard about from the other panelists? I mean, obviously, you're doing things which are very powerful on your platform against the inventory available in your DSP. But obviously there are other platforms out there.
First off, I mean, I completely understand, your perspective, and one of the things that we hear a lot of is a lot of measurement talk around OLV, which isn't connected TV. Connected TV is different, and we need to take a different approach. The OEMs, or a few of them anyways, have ACR capability. In addition, we also have device data capability, which means we can understand, if you have an Xbox plugged into your Samsung TV and you're watching streaming content through there, or if you're running a streaming stick, whatever it is, we have that capability to understand that. And I think that's important to really differentiate when you're talking about a unique ID. I mean, TV is about household viewing, right? It's not about a single person. Co-viewing is obviously a popular pastime as well. So when we're looking at what people are consuming, it's really important to understand their behaviors as a whole, not in little segments. So for connected TV or smart TVs in general, I mean, things are changing very quickly. The technology, the licensing agreements, all of that stuff is changing very quickly. I won't say fast because that's just a bad joke. But I think that what we should really focus on is continuing to pull it together. I'll just give you an example. We have a product called Reach Advisor, and we can now, with a methodology applied, we can understand AVOD exposure pre-campaign, right? So before you spend a penny with Samsung, we can tell you, here's your linear exposure, here's your ad exposure on AVOD, here's the audience that you're hitting, here's where your overlap is, and here's the audience that you're completely missing entirely. And I think that that's a really, robust approach to identifying how you can efficiently focus your budgets and reach those audiences.
Because I guess everybody on the panel would agree that you can do some amazingly cool shit on your platform. You have incredible data. Obviously, the kind of Samsung device ecosystem provides other opportunities. But I guess the challenge that Lindsey's talking about is that she'd like to be able to buy consistently across different CTV platforms and understand the unduplicated reach with linear. And I guess it's the pathway to that. Ophélie?
Yeah, no, so I just, on that, I just wanted to add, and I absolutely agree with what Julie said, the technology itself, we have to find a common standards, right? Because you were talking about the device IDs, there's so many stuff, like you have obviously your own proprietary data, but we have to find as an industry, collaborate together to find commonality in the standards, and I believe in optionality, because what probably like Samsung or any other OEMs or any other broadcasters is offering needs to match with what the agency is going to look for. So we need to have that set of currencies and that set of optionality within the industry, and I think first and foremost we need to agree on that.
Francesco, you've obviously heard people talking a bit about solutions and how to deal with these problems. What would you as a big advertiser like to see happen?
I think having a unified view of the entire ecosystem. I mean, Samsung is great and ACR is wonderful, but at the end of the day, everyone's grading their own homework. So really, we need an unbiased view of who are we reaching and who are these individuals.
So let's jump on and talk a bit about programmatic then. So there are obviously people who argue that we're on a one-way path towards turning off linear and everything is going to move into the programmatic ecosystem. And that would be one way of solving some of the problems we've spoken about. Is that in any way a viable future roadmap? Lindsey, I don't know if you want to...
I mean, I think as we evolve and our data capabilities evolve and targeting capabilities evolve, applying the methodology of programmatic buying will continue to increase. But if it doesn't make sense for certain media, then it won't make sense to apply that methodology. For some media, the purpose is not to get that granular, and I think we need to remember that. For some media, the purpose is broad reach. So, getting down to that very, very targeted level makes a lot of sense for certain types of media. It doesn't make sense for all.
Ophélie, I feel honor bound to let you comment.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely understand your perspective. Obviously, at Magnite, we believe that majority of the video market is going to be transacted in programmatic. I absolutely agree with what you say. I would like to add also that one of the advantage of programmatic is the real-time thing, like the real-time option. And so when you are probably optimizing a campaign, measuring it in real time, that probably allows you to optimize, update within the lifetime of the campaign and make your campaign work harder within the lifetime. And I think that's something that once the linear TV becomes addressable, we call that programmatic addressable TV, that's also going to resolve some of the challenges that we see today.
Julie?
I think that I can speak from the south side. Going back to just the technology, it's going to be important for us to be building to unify workflows, right? Like the linear and streaming, convergence is going to require us to make it easier for ad insertion, whether that's pure digital, connected devices or linear addressable. And so, at Google Ad Manager, that's what we're really focused on delivering for our partners in market.
Okay, I feel like we've diagnosed the situation. We've talked a bit about some of the solutions. Let's talk about priorities for the next 12 to 18 months. So, Francesco, is there one thing you would like to see the industry coalescing around as a priority? What would you like to see the industry doing to solve some of the linear time streaming measurement issues we've spoken about? What would make your life easier?
I think having everyone work together to understand it's for the benefit of the end consumer and having a better viewing experience. So having all vendors partner together on what is a unified metric of measurement? What are we determining an impression to be? What's viewable? How many seconds? Really building out the framework of what are the common metrics between digital and television, because they are vastly different. One is a CPM, one is a GRP. They have no common elements at the moment.
Dave?
At Samsung, part of the inherent value of our first-party data is that it is proprietary, it's exclusive. Call us a walled garden, what have you. But when you have, incredible scale and depth of data, it's really hard to just open it up, and that gets into, privacy concerns and other factors as well. We would love to see, some sort of common measurement approach at some point. So far, we just haven't seen anything that looks to be reliable yet. But I think that, when that time comes, we'll certainly be open to looking at what those capabilities are and how we can participate.
And just briefly, we heard at the breakfast briefing this morning from the ACA, who talked obviously about their WFA coalition. Is that a solution that you'd be prepared to opt into and get involved in?
Not at this time.
Because?
There's a lot of factors involved. Being a global company, this is something that we don't look at, from a Canadian or North American perspective. We look at this from a global perspective. So there's a lot of, things going on behind the scenes that we would have to, move forward on in order to participate.
Okay. Ophélie, what would you like to see us doing in the next 12 to 18 months, apart from encouraging Dave to...
Thank you, Dave. Exactly the opposite of what I was going to say. So a bit cheesy collaboration, I would say. And just first and foremost agree on a set of currencies that we can be using all together. So we can bring both streaming and linear TV together and have that standardized across the entire industry. So.
Cool. Julie?
I think similarly, it's incumbent upon us all to come together in this moment of convergence, as I said. I think that, ensuring equitable and fair measurement, for all parties in the market is going to be, the best play that we can, put forth on behalf of marketers and making their lives easier. And I would suggest, just to reiterate, with Ad Manager, we're focused on delivering tech that's going to unify those workflows in a privacy-centric way.
And Google is very supportive of the ACA initiative, right?
I won't comment on that necessarily, but I'll suggest that it would be wonderful to see us all come to the table in this market.
And GroupM, you're definitely supportive, right, of the ACA initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what we want ideally as we represent our clients is just the data and the measurement available to tell us that we are doing the right thing to reach their specific business KPIs. One size does not fit all. And that, we can optimize in real time. We have the flexibility to optimize in real time and invest the right amounts across the video, landscape, and support our Canadian media partners. I think that's really important in all of this. And we talked about it a bit on other panels, but it is a delicate balance, but it is really important that we continue to support our Canadian media partners across all, whether it's linear, connected TV, or premium video.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the streaming measurement panel. A massive thank you. I think we're now going into a break.